The plane hummed softly above the clouds, the world below nothing more than a blur of blue and white. It was a long flight from New York to London, and for most passengers, it was just another routine trip. But for James Wellington, a 45-year-old CEO of one of the world's biggest tech firms, this flight was an escape, or at least, that's what he hoped. He sat in first class, his tailored suit neat, his watch gleaming under the dim cabin light. Yet, behind that polished image was a man drowning in emptiness. His phone, filled with unread messages and ignored calls, lay silent beside a half-empty glass of whiskey. The success everyone envied him for had turned into his biggest prison. He had money, cars, fame, but no peace. His wife had left 2 years ago, tired of being second to his company. His son barely spoke to him anymore, calling him Mr. Wellington, instead of Dad. He stared blankly out the window, lost in his thoughts, when he heard a soft, curious voice. "Why are you so sad?" Startled, he turned his head. Next to him stood a little girl, maybe 7 or 8, wearing a pink sweater and holding a teddy bear. Her mother, seated behind, smiled apologetically. "I'm sorry, sir," the woman said quietly. "She likes talking to people." James forced a smile. "It's fine," he said. The little girl didn't leave. She tilted her head, eyes wide with innocent concern. "You look like my grandpa when he misses grandma. He used to stare like that too." James chuckled softly, taken aback. "Oh really? Maybe I just look tired." "No," she said firmly. "You look sad." Her honesty hit him harder than any business deal gone wrong. No one had ever asked him that before. Not his board members, not his employees, not even his family. He tried to laugh it off. "Well, sometimes adults get sad for no reason." She frowned. "My mom says people get sad when their hearts are full but not happy." He looked at her, truly looked. There was something about her, maybe the way she spoke, maybe the innocence in her tone, that stirred something long buried inside him. "What's your name?" he asked. "Emily," she said, smiling. "What's yours?" "James." "Hi, Mr. James." She extended her tiny hand. "Do you want to share my teddy? He makes people smile." James laughed for the first time in months. "Teddy, huh, does he really work?" "Always," she said proudly, placing the stuffed bear in his lap. The soft toy was small, worn from years of love. James held it carefully, like it was made of glass. "Thank you, Emily." For the rest of the flight, Emily talked non-stop, about her school, her favorite cartoons, her puppy named Muffin, and how she wanted to be a helper when she grew up. James listened, smiling, occasionally nodding, feeling strangely at peace. When the food arrived, she insisted he take her chocolate pudding. "You look like you need it more," she said seriously. James almost laughed out loud. "Emily, you're going to make a great CEO someday." "What's a CEO?" she asked, wrinkling her nose. "It's someone who runs a company." "Oh," she said thoughtfully. "Do they make people happy?" The question hit him like lightning. His smile faded, his throat tightened. For years, he had told himself he was changing lives, creating jobs, making the world better. But sitting there, beside a child with a stuffed bear, he realized how empty that sounded. He didn't make people happy. Not even himself. After a moment, he said quietly, "Sometimes they forget to." Emily nodded. "Then they need a teddy." Her mother called her back to her seat, and Emily waved goodbye. "Don't be sad anymore, Mr. James." He waved back, his chest heavy but somehow lighter than before. As the plane descended into London, James looked out at the clouds again. But this time, they seemed softer, brighter. When they landed, he waited near the exit to say goodbye properly. Emily and her mother were among the last to leave. "Thank you for talking to me," he said. Emily grinned. "You're welcome." "Did Teddy help?" He smiled. "More than you'll ever know." "Then keep him," she said suddenly. "He likes you." James hesitated. "I can't take your Teddy, Emily." "Yes, you can. I have lots at home. Teddy says you need him more right now." Before he could argue, she hugged him and skipped away. James stood frozen, clutching the toy like it was the most precious thing he'd ever received. That night, in his London hotel room, he placed Teddy on the table and stared at it. For the first time in years, he thought about his son, the way the boy used to run into his office, laughing, holding up drawings. He remembered how he'd once promised to take him to the park next weekend, but that weekend never came. Tears welled in his eyes, and before he could stop them, they fell. He cried, really cried, for the first time in decades. He He cried for his lost family, for the years he traded love for success, for the empty boardrooms and the cold applause. And in that storm of emotion, something inside him broke, and healed at the same time. The next morning, James called his assistant and cancelled all his meetings. Then he called his ex-wife. "I want to see Michael," he said softly. There was a pause on the other end. "Are you sure?" she asked. "Yes," he said, his voice trembling. "I miss my son." When he flew back home a few days later, he brought Teddy with him. At the airport, his teenage son stood waiting, taller now, distant. James walked up slowly, unsure what to say. Finally, he held out the teddy bear. "Someone gave me this," he said. "She said it helps sad people. I think it's time Teddy met someone else." Michael frowned, then smiled slightly. "A teddy bear, Dad?" James nodded. "Yeah, it saved me." Something in his tone, raw, sincere, made the boy's expression soften. He took the bear. "Thanks." James swallowed hard. "I've missed you, son." Michael didn't respond right away. But as they walked toward the car, side by side, James felt something shift, a beginning, not an ending. Later that night, when he checked his messages, he saw one from an unknown number. It was Emily's mother. "This is Emily's mom. Emily asked me to tell you she hopes you're smiling now." James looked at Teddy, sitting on the couch beside his son, and smiled through his tears. "Yes," he whispered, "I am." And for the first time in his life, the great CEO, the man who had everything but peace, finally understood what happiness really meant. It wasn't in wealth or status, but in the small, honest kindness of a little girl mid-flight who dared to ask, "Why are you so sad?" Title: Why Are You So Sad? The little girl who made a CEO cry for the first time. Description: a powerful and emotional story of a lonely CEO who finds healing through a simple question from a child mid-flight. What happens next will touch your heart. Tags: emotional story, inspirational story, touching story, life lesson, kindness, humanity, motivational story, YouTube story, heartwarming story, CEO emotional story, little girl story, life-changing moment, sad to happy story, best storytelling video, moral story. Would you like me to make the YouTube voiceover script version with emotions and pauses of this story next?